Hello friends, welcome to Python video tutorials. So in this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to Python, why we need a Python. As a data engineers, if you're working in data projects, why we need a Python and how we are going to learn Python, how we are going to practice, how we are going to use Python when it comes to data projects. So if anyone is working in data projects, primarily data warehousing, data migration, data engineering, so these are called data projects. First we'll understand why Python. So why Python and why can't we go with SQL? So first we need to understand the different types of data before going to understand Python. Okay, and you see there are huge openings for data engineers, and most of the companies are migrating to cloud. When it comes to cloud side, how we are going to store data, how we are going to manage data, how we are going to analyze the data, that is called complete data management, or you can say data engineering plus data analytics. So when it comes to data, why can't we use SQL? Why we are depending on Python nowadays? And when it comes to data warehousing part, so past 10 years or you can say past 20 years, we are using different ETL tools, different reporting tools to analyze and to process the data in data warehousing part. But now you see from past 10 years, there is a huge demand for Python, and Python is a common language for data projects as well. So earlier Python means only programming language, and we'll think about web development, server-side processing and other purposes like automation testing, hacking, and mainly for server-side processing. But nowadays if you look at Python, so Python the utilization is more at data side. So data means normally we will think about structured query language SQL. So where you can store data, where you can analyze the data using SQL queries. But why we are depending on Python nowadays? So if you go back 10 years back or 20 years back, the data means structured data and business data primarily. Most of the companies and most of the business depending on the data. But now when you look at past few years, most of the companies are depending on not only their data, not only their application data, so they are depending on social media data. They are depending on social media data, they are depending on some applications data which they are generating, like structured, semi-structured, unstructured. That is, structured primarily applications will generate a structured data, and logs, system logs, server level logs, browser logs, and different types of logs, images, videos, audio files, these all are fall in unstructured data. And web-based applications like web-based projects, like if you're talking about social media, so most of the social media they will provide in JSON format, semi-structured format, JSON, and middlewares. So middlewares also they will provide in XML format. And storing the data primarily schema, that is called metadata, also we need to store. So when you're talking about data, nowadays data means these are things we will consider as data. So if you go back 10 years back, data means only applications data. Okay, now because of social media, because of applications expansion, users behavior, and different types of usage, now data means not only applications data. Data means it may be social media data, it may be applications data, it may be machines generated data. So that is called structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. This complete data, if you want to store, if you want to manage, if you want to analyze, we need big data. So for that purpose we are looking Python. So when it comes to structured data, okay, boss, structured data we are storing in table, we are storing in databases, then you can use a SQL. But no, I don't have a structured data, I have a more unstructured data, like images, videos, log files, text files, like this. Then how we will analyze, how we will store the data? So most of the databases supports structured data, and some databases now supporting semi-structured data. But when it comes to unstructured data, so directly you cannot store, directly you cannot process. So you need different language, different processes to store and process the data. That's why Python is a common language for data projects. When it comes to structured, semi-structured, unstructured, you can use the Python is the common language. And anyway, SQL also will be there. So combination of SQL and Python, we will be developing end-to-end data engineering projects and completely different types of data. So we can handle different types of data, and most of the companies, most of the organizations, most of the governments nowadays depending on data. It may be customer, it may be social data, it may be welfare data, it may be unemployment or employment, whatever it is. So every company, every government, every organization depending on data, and that data may be any type. So that's why they need a data engineer, and you should know SQL and Python. You should know SQL and Python. So with this combination, we can handle any type of data. Python plus SQL combination, structured, semi-structured, unstructured data you can handle. That's why most of the companies are expecting, if you are a data engineer, you should know SQL plus Python. Only SQL is not sufficient nowadays, and also only Python also is not sufficient. So both programming language plus query language, structured query language plus programming language combination, which we can achieve, we can process, we can store, we can analyze structured, semi-structured, unstructured data. So this is about complete why we are looking Python, why we need a Python. Then, so when it comes to the major benefits from Python, so Python is an open source, so you don't need to pay any single penny to anyone, and it's vast. It is available from more than 20 years, so the many libraries are available and many open source libraries are available, and primarily it's an object oriented programming language. You don't need to compile. It supports dynamic data type, complex data types, and you can reduce the code length while developing a project compared to other languages primarily. And it's easy to understand as English language, so you can learn easily and you can implement very easily, and easy to extend with other languages as well. Okay, and when it comes to storage in memory, so it manages automatically. That is called automatic memory management, like assigning memory, releasing memory. That's called storing data and releasing data. And finally, it's an open source. These are the major benefits we'll get from Python. Then, so most of the people will have a common question. Okay, so Python is a good open source language, okay, but it's a vast language. So there are many things in Python. So is it required to learn everything as a data engineer? Obviously it's not. So Python using for different purposes. So machine learning, data science, data engineering. Let's move to that screen. Yeah, here. So Python using for different purposes: data engineering, machine learning, data science, deep learning, plus application development, background process, server level process, hacking, and automation purpose. So Python using for different purposes. So we will learn related to data engineering. How we will store the data, how we will process the data. That is our primary goal. And analytics part is completely different. Maybe machine learning, data science, deep learning. They need different APIs, different APIs and different modules for them. But when it comes to data engineering, I have listed few things which we should know when it comes to data engineering part. One is the basics, Python data types, different types of data types we should know, and how to create variables and how to store the data. That's the basic data types. Understanding collections, that is called data structures. Different types of data structures are available: list, tuples, dictionaries, and sets. Same way, when it comes to programming language, the common thing, that is conditionals and looping, for loop, while loop, if condition, if else, and statements. There are a few statements are available, that also we should learn. Primarily reusability part, functions. So classes, really it's not required because we are going to utilize Databricks ADF features. So if you are implementing core Python projects, then you need a Python classes. But we are going to utilize Databricks and ADF features, orchestration part, pipelines, everything, then you don't need really OOPS concepts, that is called classes. But functions is required for reusability part. So when it comes to advanced part, sometimes we may read, write other than big data files, like core Python files, like reading files and writing files. And exception handling, this is also very important. And list comprehensions, like using list features. Primarily when it comes to PySpark, we will be using more this. and Lambda expression is a single liner function which you can utilize in PySpark. It will reduce the code length, and there are many benefits are available. So when it comes to searching patterns, we can use the regular expressions. Yes, that also is available in Python. It is available in SQL, it is available in Python, it is available in PySpark. Modules and logging. Custom logging purpose, you can use a logging module is available, and there are few modules are available for different purposes. So that also we will discuss this. So this is complete core Python which is required for data engineering. Every data engineer should know core Python, the basics and advanced things. Okay, and then where we will learn, where we can practice. So when it comes to Python, so there are plenty of open source tools available and you can practice, but we are going to use the Databricks. So Databricks Community Edition we can use. So it's available for learners, so you can register. It's available for free and you can use the Databricks Community Edition. So when it comes to resources part, always I will suggest python.org, best for complete Python concepts. There's a documentation, you can find the complete Python documentation and beginner's guide. And if you are feeling this is a very heavy subject and you're not able to understand properly, and the second website which I will suggest, W3 Schools. So this is the best website for learners, and there are many languages are available, but you can choose a Python here. So programming languages, Python. So Python you can see content wise complete information with examples. So this is the two websites where you can get basics and advanced based on your practice. So you can become an expert when you do practice, but knowledge and expert only you can become a knowledge if you get a knowledge, and if you practice more and more, then you will become an expert on particular technology. So refer these two websites. Then practicing part, what I will do, log in databricks.com. Then so here there is an option called try Databricks. Click on this. So we are going to register here. So we are going to use Databricks for learning Python, PySpark and Delta Lake. Everything we will use this Databricks as a IDE development tool. So same Databricks is available in all the clouds, AWS, Azure and Google. So enter the information. Email ID should be valid email ID, because you will get a confirmation link to set your password. So provide your name and details. Okay, just give any information. So I'm going to use a different email ID, because earlier I have registered with a different mail IDs. So I'm going to use this mail ID and click on get started. So enter basic information, whatever you see the star mark is mandatory. Okay, so email ID is mandatory, phone number is optional. Then click on get started. Now you see there is an option called Databricks platform for free trial and Databricks for community edition. What is free trial? So free trial with a combination of cloud environment where you can get 14 days, but you should register in those cloud like Azure, AWS and cloud, and there you need to use your credit card and you need to register that. So if you are looking for cloud environment like Azure or AWS, then go for that. Okay, that only 14 days free trial, you can see this. So if you are looking for only Databricks to learn Python, PySpark, Delta Lake, then community edition is enough for you. It is available for everyone and there is no limitation as well. Okay, the limitation only here it is computation. 15 GB RAM you will get, 10 GB disk space you will get. 15 GB RAM plus 10 GB disk space. And you can share with your friends as well. Maximum 3 users can utilize this community edition, or they can register using their mail ID. So they won't ask you your credit card information. Just click on get started. So once you click on get started, it will move to confirmation screen. You will get a mail. So that confirmation mail to reset password. Time to check your mail. So I will log in my Gmail. So I should get my email. So give this email ID. 1 second. Now you see this. There is the email. So welcome to Databricks Community Edition. So we need to verify email address clicking on this link. Click on this link. It will be routed to another page. Then set the password. New password. So we are going to use the Databricks Community Edition to learn Python, PySpark, Spark SQL, Delta Lake. So these are all skill set we can learn in this Community Edition. So here you can find, don't use this option, don't upgrade, click on close this, and this is your Databricks home page, and here you can find the menu left side you can find menu, workspace, compute, data and other options. So our requirement is Python practicing first. So to practice Python we need a software. Python software is required and computation also is required. That is called cluster. So go to compute, create one cluster. Go to compute. There is an option called create cluster. Click on this. To run Python program, we need a software. So that is called computation. So Spark, Python, Java, Scala, R. So everything inbuilt, we will get a one cluster called Spark cluster. So there, just enter some name, data, or you can say Python cluster. Then click on create. So here you will get a 15 GB RAM, 2 CPUs. That is 2 cores. You will get that, and you can find the version, Spark version, Scala version, and everything you can find. And if you want to go with the latest version also, you can go with the latest version. Enter name, click on create. It will create a cluster background. It will take maximum 2 or 3 minutes. That you can find information in event log. So there is an option, you can see event log. Here you can verify this. Who's are going to create a cluster. If cluster is available, it will display message called cluster is available. So this cluster you can use, you can run Python code, Spark SQL, PySpark, Scala, Java, R, all these languages, Shell script, and Spark SQL, Delta Lake. These many languages you can learn in this Community Edition. Okay, so Python, PySpark, primarily we will be concentrating on PySpark and Python, Spark SQL, Delta Lake, and primarily understanding Spark architecture. So Spark, so architecture also, that is called Spark Big Data Cluster. Spark Big Data Cluster. So we need to understand Spark architecture and big data process. So this entire thing which we can learn in a single tool called Databricks. So Databricks Community Edition, it is available for free and you can use that. So we will get a 15 GB RAM, 10 GB disk, 10 GB space to store files. Remember this. 2 CPUs. So later we'll understand this, what is Spark, what is big data. First we are concentrating on Python. Just refresh. Maximum it will take 2 or 3 minutes. Your cluster will be available. You can use Python. You can practice Python. So where we will write our code? Let's understand. Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook is a common IDE for data science, machine learning, data engineering. Okay, and if you are working in big data project, if you are working in the advanced analytics team, you should have an idea about a Jupyter notebook. This Jupyter notebooks will help you to write different languages of code, and for analysis part, primarily machine learning, data science, advanced analytics team, they will be using this. Even data engineers also will be using this. But you don't need to install this. So Databricks is having its own notebooks, similar kind of Jupyter notebook, that is called workspace. We will go there. So we'll verify. Cluster is in creation. So event log, it will give you complete information when it started, when it stopped. And just you need to remember one thing. So this cluster will be available if you are using this cluster. If you're not using this cluster, means if you're not running any program on this cluster, if it is ideal for 2 hours, it will get terminated. You don't need to worry about that. Delete this, create another cluster. Only one cluster you can create at a time. In community edition, only one cluster we can create. So if you want to create another cluster, no, because it is free only, right? So learning purpose. So one cluster is enough. That's why they're not giving an option called creating another cluster. So that maximum and minimum only one cluster you can create, and one node you will get that. Just refresh. So if you want to create another cluster, there you see it is giving a message. You have reached a maximum number of active cluster. Only one cluster you can create. Then if you are not using this cluster after 2 hours, you see now green color it is showing that cluster is available. Go to event log, cluster is running. Now your cluster is available. You can use Python, Spark, everything. Then where we will write our programs? Go to your workspace. So there you can find different types of workspaces. User specific, your user specific, there you can see. Like if in your project 10 people are there, so there you can find 10 users. Under that you can create your own script. Right click, create new notebook. Or project shared, that is called project. So project means we will create one folder, project folder. Just I am giving you one example. Then inside folder we will create scripts. Or you can create a folder also in common, outside users are shared. So here also you can create. Okay. Then how we will create a notebooks? So you can right click here, you can create directly notebook, or here also you can create notebook. So when you are creating notebook, it is asking information. Notebook name, Python tutorial. Just I am giving notebook name this. You can give any name and choose the language. Python, Scala, SQL, R. Okay. Then cluster. So only one cluster is available. Choose that cluster. Click on create notebook. Then this is your notebook. And here you can find cells. Okay. Here you can find cells. You can write your Python code. And notebook type, it is language is Python, but we can use this notebook for multiple languages. So Python directly I can use print. This is Python notebook. So control enter you can execute, or there is an option called run this cell, or there is a run all. Run all also you can use. Individual cell, run this cell, or shortcut is control enter. So this is Python notebook. In the same notebook, you can create another cell like this. Multiple cells you can create. In the same notebook, in Python notebook, you can run other languages. I want to run some shell script, %sh ls. So I can run shell script here. Okay. This is our cluster logs, cluster shell script. I want to run big data file system, %fs, that is distributed file system. Like HDFS, here we will call it as DBFS. I want to run SQL code, %SQL, show databases. So this commands means every notebook you can go with multiple commands. Command 4 like this, you can call it as commands or cells. Every cell you can write your own language. So own language means you can go with, we are created in Python, but the same notebook you can run other languages as well. Scala, R, SQL. So these all we will call it as magic commands. Magic commands. So %md means we can create a document, information. Magic commands. So just I am giving information. %md means markdown. So you can give a text also. So compiler will ignore that. So when you run all, it will ignore that magic commands. So whatever %md is there, that will called note. You can give a note, and then list of magic commands. So you can use a Python, Scala, R, SQL, SH shell script, FS big data file system, and then %run Python run command, where we can call one notebook in another notebook. Okay, so these all are magic commands which we can use in this notebooks. Okay, and notebook you can see it is available here. So you can drag and drop wherever you want that. Okay, then for Python tutorial, what I did, I created one notebook, complete Databricks file. Okay, so this file you can import, export. There is an option called export into DBC file. So DBC file means Databricks archive file. So you cannot open outside, only you can open in Databricks workspace. That is called DBC archive file, compressed file. So for Python tutorial, I created one DBC file. So right click, import. So I will share you that DBC file. Go to import, browse. I will give you that. So this is the complete Python tutorial. So this notebook, that is a DBC file, will have a multiple notebooks. We will be using this tutorial for complete Python for data engineering. So open this. So there you can find tutorial 1, Python variables, like basics to advanced, regular expressions, comparison operators, see, exception handling, functions examples, file input output operations, regular expressions, loops, functions, and data structures. Okay, so we will be using these notebooks to learn Python. Okay, I prepared all topics which is required for data engineering, basics and advanced. So we will start from basics in another video. So we'll continue in the upcoming videos, and this video just starting to Python, why Python, and how to use Python, and how to learn Python and use this DBC file. So DBC means Databricks archive file, registered in community edition, and this cluster will be available. If you are running any code, if you are using, this will be available. If you are not using, what will happen after 2 hours, it will get terminated. So you can terminate manually also. Okay, so after 2 hours it will get terminated. No need to worry about that. Again tomorrow if you want to practice, just delete this. Okay, it is terminated. You can see event log. So cluster terminated by my name. Now you cannot restart this cluster. So just delete, click on delete. So it is going to delete. It will take one minute to delete in background. You can create a new cluster. So create, just enter name, create new cluster. Like this, we can create a new cluster, but only one cluster is available. One cluster is a maximum and minimum limitation for community edition. So this will help you to understand, to practice, to improve your skill set, and is the best approach and easy way to learn in cloud. Okay, so thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.